We're all used to looking at data to, predict the future. We look at algorithms, trends, things like that.
Sure.
But what happens when you run a search on a data set that hasn't changed in 1,000 years and it spits back something about a modern scandal that is?
Well, it's just genuinely unsettling.
Right. It sounds like something out of a movie.
Yeah.
But today we're looking at a very real, and I have to say, a very strange statistical anomaly.
Okay.
This comes from researcher Richard Peter Ruff. And for this deep dive, we're going into the Leningrad Codex, the oldest complete manuscript of the Hebrew Bible, and a specific code matrix found inside it.
And this matrix centers on Jeffrey Epstein.
Exactly.
And just to be clear for everyone listening, we aren't talking about some vague horoscope-type reading here. The mission today is to look at the math, right?
That's it. Ruff's analysis claims this isn't just the name Epstein sort of floating in a sea of random letters. It's a complete, coherent cluster of terms.
I mean, if you look for any six-letter name in a book that big, you're bound to find it somewhere. You are. That's just the law of large numbers. But the source highlights a very specific string found using what they call the Bible code method. Technically, it's known as equidistant letter sequences.
And the string it found was?
Epstein Rapist Island.
Okay, let's pause on that equidistant part because we need to be really clear on how this works. This isn't just reading the text left to right, correct?
No, not at all. It's a skip code. So imagine taking, say, every 10th letter of a book to spell out a word.
Right.
In this case, the computer had to look at a massive interval. It used a skip sequence of 35,869.
35,000.
Yeah. So it takes a letter, skips almost 36,000 characters, takes the next one, and so on.
Wow. Which means this matrix must span a huge section of the text.
It's massive. It stretches all the way from the book of Numbers, chapter 1, to Isaiah, chapter 7.
And despite that huge spread, the source claims the stats are solid.
They're pretty heavy. The source calculates the odds of this specific sequence, Epstein Rapist Island, appearing just by chance as 1 in 186,020.
1 in almost 200,000. That is definitely not a coin flip.
Far from it.
But for me, the most jarring part of this whole thing isn't even that main search string. It's what the source calls the cross terms.
This is where it gets really disturbing. When you lay this out as a grid, you look for other words that intersect that main Epstein line.
Like a crossword puzzle.
Exactly. And in this grid, the source highlights a direct intersection. You have the Hebrew phrase for to lust after, crossing directly with the phrase for young lass, maiden, or virgin.
That's the part that feels less like a random statistical hiccup.
Right.
You have the name, the location, the crime, and then mathematically intersecting it, you have the specific victim profile and the motive. It's a lot.
And it goes deeper. The definitions provided by Ruff point to other terms in the matrix. For instance, there's a 7-letter term that translates to speechlessness or aphasia.
Speechlessness, which in the context of this case immediately makes you think of the victims, the silencing, the inability to speak out.
That's the narrative connection the source is drawing. And there's more. There's another cluster where the terms for disheartening and disruptive are found joined together.
So when you look at the whole picture,
The argument is that these aren't just random words. They share a semantic field. They tell a story.
right, because that's what a skeptic would say. If you found Epstein crossing with lawnmower, you'd just shrug it off.
Of course.
But lust, maiden, speechlessness, disheartening, that's a thematic lock.
Precisely. Coherence is the enemy of randomness.
So we have to just step back and ask the big question. We're looking at the Leningrad Codex, scribed over 1,000 years ago.
Based on traditions that are thousands of years older than that. And Jeffrey Epstein is a 20th century figure.
It's a difficult paradox.
It is. The source simply presents the data, the skip sequence, the odds, the translations. It doesn't offer a supernatural explanation, but it insists the math is just too tight to be dismissed as a fluke.
So it really forces you to confront how we view information. Is history written in a straight line, or is there a complexity to it that we don't understand yet?
And when you see a probability of 1 in 186,020, it suggests that even if you don't believe in prophecy, you have to at least respect the anomaly itself.
It is a lot to process. We've just walked through a statistical matrix that links a modern predator to ancient Hebrew text with disturbing precision.
It certainly makes you look at the concept of randomness a little differently.
So I'll just leave you with this to chew on. Is this just the infinite monkey theorem in action? That if you have enough data, eventually you'll find a pattern that looks like a story? Or is this matrix a genuine glitch in the matrix of history itself? Thanks for diving in with us.